Good evening, CCA Academy students, and welcome to English 3, Period 8 for the week of April 13th. I apologize I'm not getting this out sooner. It's been some technical difficulties in trying to make these videos, but I'm working through it. So what I want to do for you guys today is talk to you guys about the most recent assignment I've uploaded, about what we're going to be working on in the future, and kind of where the game plan is for this course. Now, I have once you've completed these different tasks, task 1, 2.1, 1.2, 1.4, 1.3, along with the documents that go with it, we're going to be starting a new unit. And easily enough, it's called Module X, the Tales from Quarantine. And specifically, we're going to be starting looking at short stories. But before we get into that, I need to make sure that you guys have a solid understanding of what I mean by reading critically. So I have uploaded, my document disappeared. Where'd it go? There's, I've uploaded this literacy thinking while reading. Okay. Make it big. And I'm going to walk you guys through it, kind of try to explain it to you guys a bit, talk to you about it. So, literacy or thinking while reading. At its core, the subject of English language arts is fundamentally centered around two pieces of content, reading and writing. You can follow along as I do this. The content areas become the paths we use to achieve mastery of the CCCs, our skills we are focusing on. When the CCCs are examined as the whole set through the lens of the content contained in English language arts, we call literacy, defined by the active and mindful use of skills while reading and writing with a specific purpose in mind. The Oxford English Dictionary, often considered to be the definitive record of the English language, defines literacy at the most basic level as the ability to read or write. But if we extend out and clarify, the definition grows into something more powerful, something necessary to achieve the knowledge and wisdom we seek to gain throughout life. For the purpose of this course, we're going to be using literacy as the application of our CCCs. It is more than just reading and writing a text, but being active in the process of consuming and creating said text. So, what do I mean by that? It's how you think while you read. You can't just like take a look at the words and say, I read it, I'm done. No, there's more to it than that. So, what do we mean by that? Critical and active reading. The act of reading can be extremely passive process where the reader is just taking in the words and enjoying the creation in front of them. In the terms of this course, however, reading needs to be active. Active reading refers to the processes, models, questions, and theories that can be applied through the act of reading to a text that result in enhanced clarity and comprehension. In other words, what can we do? The goal is to reach more than the surface knowledge of the text, to reach the deep structure of the text. Simply reading a text, taking in the words and sentences placed before you, and rereading material isn't an effective way to understand and learn. It is also more than simply answering questions afterwards, especially when the questions are based on facts from the text. Active reading requires the reader to critically engage in the text. The hardest part of active reading is staying engaged. Without a doubt in the world, I can state you will not enjoy everything you read. You will not even like it. But liking and learning are two completely different concepts, and active reading does not require you like a text in order to gain knowledge and wisdom from it. But what to look for? A book is better at housing information than almost any human. The human is meant to interpret and judge what is within that book. Active reading assists in identifying what is important in the text so the reader can have an easier time making that judgment. Below is the process of active reading, identified steps you can take to ensure engagement and retention of what you read, no matter what. A large part of the process involves you identifying specifically what is in the text that you can enjoy. These steps are not in a specific order. They can be done at any point while reading, assisting in identifying the actions and thought processes capable of being accomplished while reading. In fact, as you read a text, you should be answering questions over and over again as they come up, not just in order. So, 5 things that we need to do in order to actively read. 1, prepare to become the target audience. Not everything is about you. Hate to tell you guys this, but it's true. The world does not center around you. You need to accept this and read from other people's perspective in addition to your own. 2, read with an open mind. You will not agree with everything you read. Again, kind of goes back to not everything's about you. Read to understand the how and why others believe what they do. Read to understand how your perspective fits with the different one. Consider the title, biography, history, and influences. Where did this text come from? People are influenced by the world they live in as readers. As readers, we need to look for those influences on the text. 4, read slowly. This is probably the one you're going to hate the most because that means you have to actually take some time in doing some work. Reading for the completion is not the goal. Reading for understanding is. Finally, make notes, record as you read. Write as you read to keep yourself engaged and remember what you read. All right. So, what to actively read for? And this is the part that I think is the most important thing here, is that you need to know what to look for. So 3 questions. What does the text say? How does it say it? Why does it matter? Why is it important to me? As you can see, a bit of work in progress. Identifying the important bits within any text can be difficult, especially without guidance. No 2 texts are alike. There may be similarities, but what works for one text does not always work for another. The questions above may seem vague, but in finding their answers, a reader can find so much more than just basic knowledge. They find connection to the text and to their own experiences. These questions are guidelines for readers, a set of directions to help you reach a destination. What that destination is depends on a great deal of things, but the questions assist us on that path. 2 important points regarding the answers you, as readers, create. First thing, there is no single answer to these questions. You answer them over and over again as you read whatever text presented to you. 2, you need to record your answers in order to assist you in using the information later. So again, read slowly. We're looking for understanding. Make notes. Okay. 2 parts right here. This is stuff you can actively choose to do. Right here. In other words, you must take notes throughout the text on and anything and everything that can be used to answer one of those 3 questions. Below each question are broken down further, going into detail regarding what the question means and how to answer them. A reader needs to start. So first thing, what does the text say? A reader needs to start with the basics of any text, determining what exactly what does the text say. We can think of this as more of the who's, the what's, the when's, and the where's. Who, person or place the text discusses, introduces, or mentions. What, the objects, events, or actions. When, the time the event or thing takes place. Where, the location. A single text can have numerous examples of each. So identifying what is important to remember and ultimately record is important to answering the main question. What you record is up to you, but as long as you can look back at your notes and explain what the text is about. So, who, description of character. This kind of breaks down a bit further in here. This document that I'm reading off of is actually inside the Google Classroom as well. So I'm just going through it. All right. How does the text say? Well, the first question asks you to understand what the text covers. The second question is a more in-depth approach to the text, asking you as the reader to understand how you figured out all your answers. Self-reflection and assessment start here, as you need to be able to explain yourself to your notes. This practice then involves 2 methods. The first asks you to look at the literary devices used within the text, using the vocabulary associated with the style of the text to create meaning. The second is concerned with supporting this text through quotes and specific lines. While reading, you need to look for the following to take notes on. Literary devices. What does the text do that is beyond simply telling the reader information? Those are the metaphors, similes, personification. We'll cover those a bit later if you don't know them. Vocabulary. What words are important in the text that help determine the main idea and supporting ideas within the text? Quotes in the text. Direct quotes from the text. Only record the words that are needed. In other words, if you need a full sentence, write it down, but you might not need the full paragraph as it is written. Opinions and connections. In addition to the quotes of the text to support what does the text say section, you also want to run down connections and thoughts you have regarding the text. So in other words, how does the text connect to itself? How do different parts reference to different things? How does all that go together? What's your opinion about what's happening? What is the text's opinion about the topic? Okay. Because your opinion, your connections to your own life, to your own experiences, your own thoughts, that's the final section. Why is it connected to me? The word important is extremely subjective. In the process of active reading asks the reader to determine what about the text matters. The first question is directly related to the text, focusing on the content held within and what the reader sees on the surface. The second question asks the reader to dig deeper and pull out more bits of information and ideas, drawing connections across the entire text itself. The third question, why is it important to me? Or why is it connected to me? Asks the reader to find a connection to their own experiences. The previous two questions focus solely on the text itself, but this one asks the reader to find what about the text is important to them, what resonates and speaks to them, whether it is the topic or subject or a single quote or an idea that is barely touched on. The goal is to examine why the text matters on some personal level. A couple ways we can do this. Reactions. Any thoughts, opinions, beliefs the reader has regarding the text, even if it's just a snap judgment response. These need to be recorded, coupled with the recordings from how does the text say it question. The next step, record what the next thought or the next step beyond what the text says. So where is it going? What is the goal of this text? What is it trying to do? Questions. Record any questions you have about what's going on. If you're confused, write it down. Those are your reactions. That's how you make a connection to yourself, even if they are just to clarify what is being discovered in the text. And in the end, the goal is to record how the reader is a part of the text, not just an outsider standing by. So, your assignment. Task X.1, literary critical reading. All right, you'll notice 4 things here. You don't have to read all 4. You only have to pick one. Read one of the attached news articles from Newsella. Human connection bolsters immune system. That's why it's important to be kind. Markets shudder again on virus fears, extending recent rout, where the climate change threatens ancient sites and modern livelihoods, why the U.S. Census tries to count everyone. Then in the space below, i.e. right here, identify what does the text say, 3 things. How does it say it, 2 things. And why does it matter, 1 thing. All right, so you pick one of these stories and answer these 3 questions. That's it. The next assignment is going to start looking at short stories, which we're going to introduce some vocab words about literary terms, things that are going to be important to know. I think I have just 11 or 12, if I remember correctly, that you'll need to know for what's going on. But as a moment, that's it. That's all you got to do. So take care of this. I have it due April 17th. That's this Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing what your guys' answers are. Take care and have a wonderful day.